Republic, which shows the Russian forces moving into Mariupol, and the visuals there on your screens that show the Russian troops' movement in Mariupol, continuous intense fighting being reported there between the Russian forces and the Ukrainian army. In fact, in the visuals, you can see the Ukrainian keeping a close watch on the movement and destroying them with USV and RPG. The aerial view shows the Russian troops' movement in Mariupol as well. Those are the aerial shots that Republic has accessed, which shows the movement of the Russian troops in Mariupol. Remember, intense airstrikes and bombarding has also been reported in this particular region as well. So, Yesha, many such videos that have been accessed by Republic, which only goes on to prove the extent of devastation as well as the continuous bombardments and strikes that continue unabated in Ukraine.
In fact, I want to take this very same point, Samiksha, to Captain R. Alok Bansal, who is the director of India Foundation and a security analyst, I beg your pardon. He's joining us live from Delhi. Captain Bansal, the people on the ground are suffering. And we see how they are trying to leave from Ukraine, how the evacuation is taking place, how tough it is on a daily basis. It's been 2 weeks now. But the turn in the statements as far as the leaders are concerned, and here I talk about NATO, Russia, Zelensky, US, all in their hands, all of how statements are changing, but the people on the ground and their sufferings, and that needs to be the priority.
See, there is no doubt about it that in any war, the people do suffer. And in this particular case, there are cities which are besieged, Mariupol being one of those which have been totally cut off from rest of the Ukraine. People are devoid of water, electricity, heating, etc. The basic essentials that you see in this part of the world. And people are suffering. But as far as countries are concerned, they also realize that they need to negotiate. But both the countries have got into a jam. Ukraine has actually backtracked as far as joining NATO is concerned. Ukraine's last statement said that they are not keen to join NATO. So that's one big positive. But on the other hand, Putin having launched this sort of an offensive, and which has really not gone anywhere, way far off. And also there has been huge casualties of Russian troops, huge loss of Russian equipment, and large number of sanctions on Russia, which will impact Russia economically in days to come. So obviously both the leaders want a face-saving mechanism. They cannot go back to their own population saying that we have compromised in this particular issue. Now Russia wants Ukraine to virtually surrender. That is virtually impossible for any political leader like Zelensky, who has now decided to fight. Now, having taken up that nationalist high ground, it will be very difficult for him to back off. More importantly, what General Kulkarni was saying, we need to take cognizance of that Russian troops moving into Ukraine are flying Soviet flags. An era when the two countries were part of one political entity. So basically, they are trying to get the Ukrainians to join them, see them as a benevolent power which has come to annex them. And to that extent, they don't want to deeply antagonize them. And that's probably the reason why they have been a little circumspect as far as bombing the civilian areas, etc. are concerned. So that is probably the reason. But undoubtedly, in this political game which is being played, where Western countries are also bystanders, the Ukrainian population is suffering. Large number of people are migrating. But remember, all 18 plus males are not permitted to leave Ukraine. So they're expected to stay in the country and fight. And the pictures that we are seeing are primarily from the war zones like Kyiv, Kharkiv, Mariupol, and especially cities like Mariupol, which are actually surrounded from all sides. Kyiv and Kharkiv, the situation is still tense, but the Ukrainians are holding on. So the population is suffering, but I think sooner or later the political leadership will realize that their objectives are not going to be achieved, and they would look for a way out. And that is where I think the third country mediation comes into play. Because when a third country is mediating, you can always tell your own population that this is what the mediator has said, and since they are our friends, we have accepted it.
All right, we'll talk more about that in just a bit, Captain Bansal. But for the moment, a 1-minute report that is playing up next.